What's going on? All right, let's see. Get some people more time. Get up in the room. All right, there we go. Matter of fact, I don't even need to do that. Let me do it this way. Some people some time to get up in the room. All right. Let's see. Oh shit. Hold on. Let's get it all up here. Let's get it all up here. Man, people. There we go. Hold on. All right. There we go. There we go. And now we're ready. Yeah. I want to cover this Ed Reed situation. And all the crap that's actually going on with Ed Reed. I actually want to play. I was watching Roland Martin today, and Roland Martin has been interviewing. He interviewed the interim president of Bethune Cookman. He interviewed some students down at Bethune Cookman. He interviewed Ed Reed, and he also interviewed Reggie Theus over there. I have the footage. We want to go over some of the footage today and actually see what's going on. But this also is going to lead into things that I've been talking about for years. And it's funny. It's funny how a lot of people is coming around crapping on pro-blacks. Yeah, you see I got the urban nerds on. Y'all see how we getting down. A lot of people was coming around crapping on pro-blacks, crapping on black first. And in these spaces, I've for years I've talked about some of the biggest criminals in the black community. Some of the biggest criminals in the black community is a lot of these black folks that wear suits. They wear suits. They in here stealing money, misappropriating funds. They in here they're at the forefront of bad policies that's destroying our communities, and everything gets blamed on the Pookies and Ray Rays. Everything gets blamed on the Pookies and Ray Rays. Now, I'm gonna cover a couple things tonight in reference to the HBCU problems. We're gonna look at Tennessee State with Eddie George and what Eddie George is attempting to do over there, because they were having the same problems. Misappropriation of funds. They were in trouble down there. Eddie George eloquently laid out a solution as to how the HBCU problem could be fixed. So Eddie George laid this out. But we all saw Ed Reed going off. We know that he was hired. We know that he was hired was on the 27th of December. He was only there for about 25 days before they end up letting him go. Man, we know that Bethune Cookman has a whole lot of bull crap going on over there. We know that they're in court right now. Oh shit! They're in court right now with their board of trustees. He said that they don't use that board of trustees no more. This is the interim president, Lawrence Drake. They don't use that board of trustees no more. They got a whole nother board of trustees. But the board of trustees are the people that's supposed to donate and raise money for the school. But the school has been in such disarray where they almost lost their accreditation. It was a lot of stuff going on. Now, I will say, is it all HBCU's fault? No, but I made a couple videos when Dion left Jackson State, getting on Dion. I made a couple videos. I made a video about Ed Reed. Now, what I don't like is people coming in these spaces talking as if they're B1 or pro-black, but then give Ed Reed and Dion excuses for going to the white universities. I'm not trying to hit it. That's not pro-black. That's bull crap. That's bullshit talk to me. What we have to do is call out the ineptitude and the lack of black professionalism on our educated and professional class. Because for years, they've been able to just run and do what they want and get away unscathed without being called out. But everybody calls out the Pookie and Ray Ray class. Everybody calls out the real nigga and bad B class. Everybody calls that out. It's easy to call out already. Damn, you get a troll in this joint already. It's easy to call out the underbelly of our people. Now, I told y'all before I share my screen, I want to lead into us believing the lie, us believing that we're the N-word, us believing that we are incapable of doing things on our own without interruption from the dominant society. We've been conditioned to come in here and believe. What the hell is UFO Union? Look, they come in here, man. They come in here troll. I got 10 people, 11 people here. I got a troll in here. Us believing the lie. Now I'm going to when I share my screen, I'm going to show you guys. Matter of fact, let me do it real quick, just so I can give you some insight as to where I'm going tonight, where I'm going tonight. Let me do it that way. I want you guys to see something, right? This man right here. This is Eugene Talmadge. He was the governor. He was once a governor of Georgia. This is what he said about black people. I'm just going to show y'all too before I get off into the show. The South loves the Negro in his place, but his place is at the back door. This is what the governor was saying about black folks. Listen, look at this. This is U.S. Senator Alan Ellender from this. He was a U.S. senator. He died in 1972. This was a U.S. senator. This is what they say about black people in all levels. This is black people. So I'm gonna preface this stream starting off with just showing you some stuff. Right? Watch this. This is a U.S. senator of Louisiana. It is a sad spectacle, to say the least, and it lends one to the inevitable conclusion that up to now, the Negro race has not shown itself capable of effective self-government. George, why are you saying this? I'm going to say it again. It is a sad spectacle, to say the least. And it leads one to the inevitable conclusion that up to now, the Negro race has not shown itself capable of effective self-government. That's what white people think about us. So when y'all see me talking and I'm like, man, Dion, you didn't get a better job, bro. You got to stay the course. Or Ed Reed, no, right? I know what I'm talking about. Because I know this is a U.S. senator. I know how they think of us. I know how they talk about us. I know what they said about us. And so when I share my screen again, I'm coming with smoke. And because we believe the lie, we perpetuate it on ourselves every day. We believe that we are the N-word. We believe that we less than. We believe that going over to them is a better situation. We believe it. We believe all of the things that they said about us, and we perpetuate these things on each other. And we don't give each other the same respect and love that we give Mr. Charlie. Nah, it's not something that we're going to do. So we're going to share our screen, and we're going to get into the Ed Reed interview that he did with Roland Martin. We're going to get into the Ed Reed interview that he did with Roland Martin. But I want to first show you this, right? I ain't gonna read the article yet. I just want to give you what you can see. Now, this is from Forbes. This is a Forbes article where it says compared to their predominantly white counterparts, the nation's black land grant universities have been underfunded by at least $12.8 billion over the last 3 decades. Many are in financial dire straits and living under a cloud of violence. So the federal government has underfunded HBCUs, and I'm gonna get into that and why they're doing it. We're gonna get into what's really going on behind the scenes and really deal with this in the manner in which it should be dealt with. But let's get over here to Ed Reed. Oh, hold on for a second, y'all. Hold on. I think I forgot to do something. My bad. Hold on. All right. Tell me if the sound is good now.
For Mr. Lawrence Drake, Dr. Drake, to come on and talk about me in that way. I knew this was a Christian school. I knew that. I'm a Christian man. I know I played music, but do you see? He said he walked campus every day, right? I don't believe that. Because if you walk campus every day, you'll see what these young folk wear to school, man. You will see this. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? They worse than the songs. You have crackheads walking through campus, man. There's no security for these young women and men. I'm not trying to bash the school. We were picking up trash when I was screen recorded. I didn't post that. Somebody screen recorded me and put that out there because they said I was mutting the school. I'm not mutting the school. We're picking up trash. At the time, you're telling me I'm mutting the school. I'm on the ground grabbing trash from under trees behind bushes because my football team was acting too cute. Don't interview me. Interview them kids. Interview the team. Interview these young women and men. I'm not here. Man, I got a 14-year-old son who I've been missing his stuff for 3 weeks. I'm tired, man. This is exhausting, man. They lying on me, man. Why lie on me, man, to save your face, man? Because you're doing something wrong. You understand me? I took families to a...
This is all part of the dysfunction that we have when black people have to work together. And I told you guys, and I've been saying this for years, that to be one, to be black first, that means that you're gonna have to love your people. You're gonna have to work together. And like I said, everything is blamed on the inner city crime and violence and the youth. But what we've been getting a full display of is black academia, our so-called black elites. They don't get along. They can't work together. you know, where's our Ed Reeds and our Deion Sanders black financiers? Where's the Deion Ed Reed of finance for these universities, or the Deion Sanders of black attorneys, law firm, going to the federal government to get this the funding for these HBCUs that they're supposed to have through these land grants? Where are they? Like, what are we doing here? What we're seeing is, again, what I showed you guys. We are, and I don't believe this, but we are showing ourselves to make it true of what the white man has said about us. We are incapable of doing things for ourselves or have any type of self-governance amongst ourselves without interference from him. Because, see, this right here is not a Pookie and Ray Ray argument. Let's listen to some more.
A basketball game. This man, Reggie Theus, man, this man is evil, man. You're evil, man. This man is evil, dude. I take parents to a basketball game. You understand me? And he don't come out during the warm-up at all. The parents are like, where's the coach? Then when you do come out, man, you got another man fixing your pants? Man. Bro, I'm not rolling. I'm not with these people portraying me to be. And the people who know me know I'm not like that, man. Yeah, I speak with passion.
Now, I told y'all that there's 3 different black communities. There's the upper elite. There's the upper educated class, and then the middle class, like the upper middle class, and poor blacks. Neither one of these groups get along. And what's happening over here at these universities and the lack of funding because the majority of black doctors comes from Xavier University. What you're seeing is the lack of the upper elite blacks supporting black institutions, and the inability of the middle class black and the upper class educated black to coexist. I told you guys, man, it's different black communities, and I've been saying this for years, and I'm glad that the Most High is now finally validating what I've been saying, because I've been getting pushback. And you got black people that come from humble beginnings who was born with a talent that was able to make a lot of money and go to these universities and coach, but have to be under the guidance and leadership of the upper echelon educated blacks. And it's not working because these groups, they don't get along. I'm going to prove it when I show Eddie George too.
Have you ever seen my speech from Florida State game when we were winning? And I gave that speech. I respect everything Dr. McLeod built this thing on. I showed the team the video. You understand me? I showed the team the video after I saw it on Martin Luther King's birthday, before the day when everybody celebrate him. I cried for them kids, man. I hurt for them kids because it's wrong. I got eight kids that committed the week before. These kids calling me, their parents calling me. What we gonna do? I can't get these kids in no school. I can't have these kids uncommit and go somewhere else. And you telling me I'm withdrawing? No, I'm not withdrawing. I still want to coach here and coach these kids after all this going on. And I'm wrong, Roland? Come on, man. Come on, man. And y'all know what's right. Roland, you know what's right. You know that man on here lying. His scapegoat. This man an interim president.
See? I'm trying to tell you.
I've been doing this, man. I just left University of Miami where I was the chief of staff. Making a lot more with less responsibilities. I got a 6-figure job on internet working for the 33rd. I didn't need this. I'm financially stable, and I was teaching them young men how to be gentlemen, you understand? I'm putting a napkin on their lap in front of their parents. The night they call me, interview these parents.
We're talking about a Bethune Cookman University. And you told those young men on Saturday, Deion Sanders came onto your live stream as well, offering you words of encouragement. In a moment, we're going to talk to 3 football players. These players have actually signed a petition asking you to be reinstated. You saw the student protest there today. The president talked about being a Christian university. He talked about it was the music that you were playing that was on when you were live. And he also just talked about that the criticism that you level as well. But he did say Disney and other donors called and said, hey, what are you going to do? But you were talking to folks. You were actually communicating with a number of high net worth people. I saw one report, and just let me know if it's true, that Shaquille O'Neal and other athletes, you were lining up other athletes to financially support Bethune Cookman. Share with folks the kind of things that you were already putting in place to financially help the institution build.
The one lie that Mr. Dr. Drake came on here and said that I did here is you asked him about locker rooms. These kids do not have locker rooms. They don't have showers.
Wow.
They wash their own clothes. You understand me? The donors I had is irrelevant at this point. I had plenty support. I asked them to get out of the way because I understood where I was coming from. I'm from Shrewsbury, Louisiana. That's 5 minutes out of New Orleans. I'm from a brickyard. I grew up in 1-bedroom apartment with 5 kids in it. You understand me? I'm from right where we at right now. You understand? Yeah, Shaq called me. FaceTime me. Little bro, I got you. You understand? And plenty more who supported me. The man's name is on a building who pulled up and had me in his car and asked me, what do I need? This man got who knows how much money. He got all restaurants around here. Plenty other people in the community. I don't need to name these people because they don't need to be put on this platform. We had the support. All I needed them to do is get out of the way. Don't have your hand in the pockets of football.
Uh-oh.
That's the problem here. Probably. I don't know. Because I was moving too fast. So I went to Baltimore. I got drafted to Baltimore, and I went into Baltimore community as I'm still working in Baltimore community with Booker T. Washington. You understand me? The worst school that I ever seen in Baltimore. Yeah, the wire was true because they right across the street from abandoned buildings. You hear me, Ro? That's where they at. That's where they at. I still work with this school. Abandoned buildings across the way. And you tell, man, boy, this hurt, boy. This hurt, bro. I can't believe this, man. I can't, man, because I know I'm not wrong, man. Yeah, I was wrong for the post. My homeboy posted the second post with the music on it. He did that. That's what they do. But these kids listen to that, as y'all alluded to. These kids listen to that music, man. Come on, man. I'm a Miles Davis, Frankie Beverly. You know me. If they know me, I'm a DJ. I got people know what I like to listen to. My 30th birthday, I had Frankie Beverly and Maze there, man. My dad and my parents raised me right. But these people, this is a total different generation, man. That old mentality ain't nothing wrong with. I respect my elders, man. I'm not on here to bash nobody. But you're not going to get on no way. You ain't going to get on no platform and talk about me, what I'm doing wrong. No, my brother. So it's not that.
Well, we're going to pause it. Now, we're going to come back to Ed. I want to go to the president, and I want y'all to see what the president said, what the interim president was saying. about the situation and just how
showing up on the first page of
I want y'all to just see just how out of touch each groups are towards each other. And I've been saying this shit.
Have is improvements not only to the university's infrastructure, but also a long-term investment plan. We have about $100 million that we need to invest in the university over the next several years. We said to him, look, you're going to become part of that. Are you open to helping us do that and build the program? He said yes to that. So when we saw the first video criticizing the university and saying, well, it's trashy and my office is dirty and all that, first of all, he was an employee of the university and he had not an office. When the last staff moved out, we started renovating that building, everything from the coaches' rooms to the other places. We had given him some permission that he really took to the next level. First of all, he wasn't authorized to even take video. He wasn't authorized to do any of those things, but he did them anyway. The university had to take responsibility for that because it happened. But quiet as kept, that isn't the kind of behavior that we would expect. And then the expletives and those kinds of things in that first video, you might call that an aberration. And I would say it could be. And you have to be a forgiving individual. But when you have this much damage, you look at the gym and you look at this video and you look at it critically. But I would invite anyone to come to our campus because all parts of our campus don't look that way. We are really trying to work hard to clean it up. And given the fact that, again, we suffered 2 hurricanes back to back, and because of supply chain issues, because most people in Florida, particularly Central Florida, are still recovering. I have people from my staff living on our campus because their homes were destroyed. It didn't take those things into account.
Dr. Hold tight 1 second. Continue our conversation with Dr. Lawrence Drake, who's the interim.
People can say whatever they want to say, but we think you can do anything respectfully. And when we think about the culture that we're trying to build, that we have companies and partners like Disney and some of our other partners calling saying, what are you going to do about that? We can't support that kind of image. And of course, they're one of our biggest sponsors for the Classic.
So you're saying Disney, officials with Disney called you.
Now he's saying that officials with Disney called him, but Ed was saying that Disney and them was getting on board because Ed was there. He trying to make it seem like the Disney donations and stuff was coming. It had nothing to do with Ed Reed. So that's why I played Ed Reed first, and now I'm playing the interim president, because the interim president is going to say a lot of things that Ed Reed, but also the students. When I show you them talking to the student staff, the students there, not student staff, but the students there is going to contradict a lot of things that the intern is saying because they're covering up a lot of this ineptitude.
Complaining about Ed Reed and saying we can't support Bethune-Cookman if he is going to represent the university.
They didn't say we can't. They questioned what we were going to do. And I think that was an appropriate way to approach it, but they weren't the only.
So were they implying that they would pull support if he continued as head coach?
I think that as a leader, you have to make the decision. And if they are inquiring, they have a vested interest. They believe in the image that they want to project. And you have to think, what are the possible outcomes of you continuing to do what you're doing? But here's the bigger point, and I think this is the most important thing for me, is that, as a dad and as a father, and certainly as someone who's been given the responsibility of looking after these young people, I just didn't feel that at this point, and I conferred with a number of people. Yes, there are a group of alumni who believe that the decision was, maybe the incorrect one, but there was also a legion of people. And
again, there's already an argument between a group of alumni, and they're in court. There's this litigation happening between these different groups. So you already got a bunch of fighting and stuff at the top. The goddamn heads is already fighting. So now this is trickling down. So let's listen to some more.
Including former players, including people like Larry Little, who's also a Hall of Famer, who is a Bethune-Cookman graduate. And some of those people are coming to campus this week to talk to our players. We're going to have a small cadre of the captains on Wednesday, and then we'll have a team meeting Wednesday night. And we're going to tell the facts. The facts is that, this university has weathered tremendous storms. And you mentioned in your opening about the financial condition and the accreditation. We not only have survived that accreditation, but we've received now a 10-year accreditation. So we are free and clear. We're also solvent as a university.
But your predecessor, the reality is a lot of it goes to your predecessor, who the board then eventually fired. And you have alumni.
Now that's important, because Roland he tried to say that, we got the 10-year accreditation, because they lost their accreditation. That they was about to close the doors, and they was able to get some money and get their accreditation back. And he's trying to take credit for something that the other president got done and ended up getting fired.
I've had a lot of reach out to me and saying that they have serious concerns that the Board of Trustees is not providing real leadership to Bethune-Cookman, and that even though surviving that, they said they still are shocked to understand why they would fire the president who led Bethune, to reviving that, and the concerns that there's this constant turnover, that there's this constant drama. What do you say to those students who are on the campus today, angry, protesting, not just football players, but students talking about mold and other conditions? What do you say to them?
What I say to them is what I've been saying to them, because I walk the campus every day when I'm on campus. What I say to them is that we're working on the issues. I just invested $250,000 in one of our buildings for remediation of mildew. When you have a hurricane, when you are 80 and 90 degree weather in Florida, the Florida conditions are not like not like the Chicago conditions. They're not like other places. I'm from the East Coast, so I know what those conditions are. That's mildew. That's not necessarily mold, by the way. Some of that you're showing on the screen is a function of things sitting in water for a period of time. So they're not showing you everything. Yes, there are some of those kinds of things, but you might also see that those portions of the building may not even being used. So again, we are working very diligently to clean up a lot of these things. When I would reflect that the first hurricane, Hurricane Ian, we were the first university to evacuate in the state of Florida. Had we not done that, we probably would have had casualties, because it was a very violent storm. But what happened is that we were trying very hard to get those students back to campus within 2 to 3 weeks. And we spent an enormous amount of money doing that. Our football players, as an example, were out because we couldn't bring them back to campus. The university just wasn't fit for that at the time. We spent a tremendous amount of resources ensuring that they ate well, that they stayed in the best places, that they were taken care of, that they had their tutors on site.
What's it like? Always knowing the truth.
Hold on. Commercials. Wait till y'all hear the kids talk. Watch. Man, you don't get us commercials, man. It's probably gonna be a double one too. I knew it.
Hundred students that are out there today. If you hold up Dr. Bethune's picture and you talk about her legacy at her gravesite, the thing to understand is that many of the students, we're trying to teach them what Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune stood for. You see, the fact is she fired Zora Neale Hurston for acting out and not being respectful of the culture that she was trying to build. And at that time, of course, that didn't necessarily go over well with people who love Zora Neale Hurston. But if you are going to start a culture and create a culture of excellence, you got to make decisions. Now, one thing about our students today, I was very proud of them. I don't think there's anything wrong with student activism and expressing your point, and they should. And we're going to continue to talk to them about that. We're going to be meeting with student leaders as well. But I'm not running away from the issues that they raise, because some of them are valid. There are things we need to do, but it takes money and it takes time, and it's not going to happen overnight. We brought in our largest freshman class this year, the largest one in the history of the university, at least in the last 2 decades. Over 1,000 students joined us in September of last year. We're on track now for another 1,200 students to join us in the fall of 2023. And so while I'm excited about this, and while there are challenges.
These are the students protesting about the mold and the living conditions at the university, and also protesting about Ed Reed being fired. So he's the president is on here running interference, and he's trying to do damage control. But I'm stricken between this because these HBCUs is being exposed, and they should be exposed. It's time for the black elites in America to be exposed. You have completely sold out the black community, and you are completely dropped the ball and sold out the people that stood in the gap for you to be in the positions that you're in. Other groups come into this country and they outperform us, and they pass us within a couple years because their groups take care of their people. The best of their group take care of their people. Now, they're saying that HBCUs have been severely underfunded. But see, what I'm asking DZI and Vincent, what I'm asking is, where is the Deion Sanders of black attorneys that can get in that was able to get in the courtroom in the last 3 years fighting on behalf of our people to make sure that we get the money that's supposed to be for us, and to make sure, where is the Ed Reeds of banking and finances, so that way no funds is being misappropriated? See, because you want to bring in a Dion, and you want to bring in a Ed Reed or the brother Eddie George down in Tennessee State. But where is the Eddie George of financing? Where's the Eddie George of Treasury? What are we doing here? And see, this stuff has been swept under the rug for years, and even in these YouTube spaces, nobody ever talks about HBCUs. Nobody ever wanted to talk about the black elites and what they're not doing. And while I told you guys, while we live in cities like Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Memphis, Newark, New Jersey, Camden, New Jersey, all of these cities that are black cities, super black, with all the elite blacks that we got today, why aren't those blacks gentrifying those communities and owning the real estate there and the equity in them homes where they can turn around and donate a lot of that back to our institutions? Somebody tell me that. And I've been screaming this for years. That's why I only got 18 people in here, because this is the topic of my conversation for 7 years since I've been on YouTube. I've been asking Philadelphia, damn near 2 million people, why aren't our black educated class? I emailed you the link info, man. Check your email. Check your email. Hold on a second. I just emailed it to you. See, a lot of us don't understand. Through land grants, there's money that was supposed to be appropriated to HBCUs that's been grossly underfunded. And if this is true, where's our attorneys? I mean, the ineptitude and the pure selfishness of the black elite class and their inability the last 50 years to get anything done on so many different levels. They have fought to get themselves in prominent positions to excel or to push up their own families. But you have people like a Ken Chenault or Dave Stewart and many more that runs Fortune 500 companies that are in charge of billion-dollar endowments and hedge fund guys. You mean to tell me that we can't get none of these people to come back and help our black institutions? A lot of these guys don't come from black institutions, but they come from the black community. Those black institutions and those black people was instrumental in helping them get to Princeton, helping them get to Stanford, helping them get to Harvard, helping them get to Vanderbilt and stuff like that. Yes. But what we've seen is 3 different generations, not all, but a large portion of black people that has grossly neglected the black community and black institutions. And you're watching everything burn to hell now. Because when this plays out in the media, why would parents want to send their kids to any HBCUs? Let's let us play some more.
We have to raise about $250 million over the next several years in order to ensure that our campus gets up to date. The fortification, we'll be waiting on FEMA for a lot of the reimbursement for some of those things. But the other part of this is that many of the alumni who complain and who say, they need the Board of Trustees to do more. I can't speak on that. I can only tell you as president, I haven't been concerned about the Board of Trustees. You talk about the turnover of presidents. The fact of the matter is this university is only on its 8th president. That's 8 presidents in 118 years. So although there's been some turnover of late, I can't blame a university for wanting to try to find the best person to lead it. The previous predecessor, or the person who I was a successor to, he retired after 42 years with the university. The person before that, he left the university to go run Bentley University on what kind of conditions he would have to come to and help us create and help us grow. He wasn't in agreement with that. He felt that he needed to say his piece and call attention to the challenges as opposed to the opportunities. I can't blame him for that. I don't have anything bad to say about Ed. It just wasn't appropriate for us to make the decision to continue contract negotiations.
You made a point about the leadership there. There was a piece that was from the Florida Courier where they talked about what needed to happen. And they talked about how one of the presidents, Crite, who dealt with a number of different issues, the board fired him. And based upon the publisher, we're going to have him on the show later, led them through that and then was replaced. You had the current board chair tried to put his name into the hat to be the president, but they found him not to be qualified to hold the position. But now he's also the board chair. And so what I really want to get at, I have another break coming up, and so we can come back and you can answer this. Because I've got alumni. And here's the deal. I've spoken at Bethune Cookman, I think 2 or 3 times. I've addressed their alumni as well in terms of fundraising. I was last there with Pastor Marvin Winans several years ago addressing a men's program there. And
what's going on, brother?
You're describing, I'll be perfectly frank, is in a stark contrast to what, 1, I'm hearing from alumni, 2, parents of actual players. You've got parents of players posting stuff on social media saying players are sharing helmets, that there are no showers for the players there, and the players are washing their own clothes.
I played the Ed Reed part of the Ed Reed video first.
Yeah.
And Ed Reed said, and he would have no reason to lie, he said they were sharing helmets. He said they had no showers. So now the interim president is here to run interference because a lot of this stuff was being called out to the forefront. And I'm telling you guys, when I show you this Forbes article and where they're explaining how HBCUs has been grossly underfunded. They owe HBCUs, the federal government, about $12.8 billion. That's how much HBCUs, right? But this is my question. Okay, fair enough. Somebody need to explain to me, because now it's coming to light. Where is the Deion Sanders of black law firms and the Ed Reeds of economic strategists that's going to go down there and fix the problem? Because if you have the misappropriated funds, and for years you call out all the crime in the black community, all the Pookies and Ray Rays, but who's been allowed to just run unscathed? The black elites and the black
Yeah, the black elites run the HBCUs. Let me say, George, I did a thorough research on this situation. HBCUs, all this stuff that's happening at Bethune Cookman, whether it be mold or players, equipment, resources. This is not just Bethune Cookman, but it seems to be a problem with, I don't want to indict all HBCUs, but quite a bit of them have this problem. And I'm here to tell you, brother, that if you go and look at if you look at the Biden and Kamala Harris, there's been money that has been increased to HBCUs from 2021 as well as 2022 under the Biden administration. And if y'all don't believe this, you can look at the report. I have the report. It's a White House report. And the question that I was saying on my channel is that, okay, we know that historically they've been underfunded, but what are they doing with the money that they do get? Because look, I showed a video. You've got, this is not, man, let me share my screen, damn it. Let me show you something. Let me go in here and pull something real quick. Let me, this is not isolated. And I hate doing stuff like this because, we know that the HBCUs have been underfunded, but a lot of their presidents, there have been incidents of mismanagement of funds by the administration that the kids have nothing to do with. And so look at this. This is your nation's, enlarge my screen if you could, brother.
Tonight, students at Howard University fed up with what they are calling unsafe living conditions. Student videos showing what appears to be pipes burst, insect infestations, and mold under beds and covering the walls.
Coughing up blood, like I was coughing so bad I coughed up blood, like coughing for hours straight.
Students we spoke with say the mold is growing throughout the halls of the university dorms in Washington, D.C.
Are you guys in the same building?
No, I live in...
You guys are in different buildings?
Yes.
Two buildings, both of you coughing up blood?
Yeah.
Both students are now living on the floors of the university cafeteria. Other students sleeping outside in tents and in sleeping bags, reporting to the university and posting on social media issues ranging from Wi-Fi connection problems to insect and rat infestations, like sophomore Tia Scott.
My own room, we had a mice infestation with blood everywhere and everything. It was a horrible situation.
Scott, now among the nearly 100 who have vacated their rooms, according to the students we spoke with. She is camping outside for a second week.
Right now, sleeping in a tent outside in the cold at night.
2021. But I have a point to what I want to bring to your attention.
I paid $5,000 for mold in my dorm.
That wasn't that long ago, brother.
I paid $5,000 for rats.
Even leaks in their dorm rooms.
How many students do you think then are exposed to this right now?
Hundreds.
NBC News could not confirm the number, but Howard University did not respond to our request for an interview today. Last week, the university issued a statement saying, in part, members of the administration have also toured and inspected every residence hall on campus and are addressing any documented facility issues directly with our third-party housing managers. The results of our inquiries affirm that the issues are not widespread. That hasn't been enough, though, to satisfy many students. Another one of those students, Tamira Kelly. She is a freshman from out of state.
So
she has no family.
Let me stop that. The point that I wanted to make, George, is that this happened in 2021 at Howard University, which is in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. I think that, and then I can go on and on with other examples of mismanagement. Check this out. When I did my research, do you know that Howard University, with the additional money that they get from the federal government, do you know that they get an additional $237 million every 4 years? The reason why people don't know this, it was the Congress of the United States that made a special charter to Howard University in 1886. So Howard University, because they're in the nation's capital and they were chartered there with the Congress involvement, they're getting an additional $237 million every 4 years. Now you say, well, it's only every 4 years on top of what they're getting already from the federal government. My point making is that if you're getting that type of money coming in every 4 years, why did the students at Howard have to protest? It was the students that protest. The administrators didn't do shit when they were complaining, and then the kids had to go buck wild and say, we gonna protest, we gonna sleep outside, we gonna do whatever we gotta do. So it tells me that Howard, and also Howard has sold off some of their land because it's been gentrified in that area that they've made money off of. The question is, what are they doing? Who are the maintenance departments of these schools? Who does the maintenance? Who's in charge of custodial care? Why is it always happening to historical black colleges? We know white colleges have their problems, but this seems to be very FAMU, brother. FAMU had a similar situation where they had roaches and rodents. The first day the students came to school, they act like they didn't know about. And the students had to find other places to live because they couldn't be in a dorm. You had football players at FAMU who protested their athletic department because of the maltreatment of their equipment. Oh, then of course we have Morris Brown. Morris Brown is back today, but Morris Brown lost their charter and their accreditation because Negroes were misappropriating money. Oh, Jackson State. Let me just say this to you, brother. Jackson State got grant money for science projects that they were supposed to be working on, and them Negroes was misappropriating that money, and they had to pay the government $1.7 million back. That's just a small surface, brother.
You know it's funny info, but this is the question I'm asking. And for years, see, I got pushed back, and people made videos about me, talk trash because I said something that was controversial. I said. The biggest criminals in the black community is not the youth or the drug dealer. Mm-hmm. Our communities today is our educated blacks and sisters.
Us. We're the problem.
Because,
we're the problem.
See, a nigga is born and made into a nigga based off of his environment. But these black people that we've entrusted and we look upon to come gentrify our own communities, don't misappropriate funds to our institutions where we can produce our own children that will go and get good jobs and then give it back to the universities. We're not producing those kind of children because what you're being is a criminal in a suit. And just because you talk articulate. So now you're watching the news and all the shootings in Philadelphia, but you're not seeing all the criminal acts of thievery and actually stealing the mindset and the innocence of children, and this is what I'm saying, innocence of youth when they come to these colleges. Because what happens is they see so much ineptness when they do get away from the university, they never want to come back. Right.
They
don't want to be associated with any part of it.
I gave you another example. Like I'm saying, there's so many examples that we haven't touched. Texas Southern. Do you know in 2020, their president, they had to fire him because he took charity money that was supposed to be for the school and he tried to pocket it in his own pocket, a tune of $1 million. And they had to get rid of him. And through my research, I found out that, do you know, since 2012, HBCUs have had an influx of presidents coming and going. They can't keep them. They come and then they leave, and there's always some kind of drama going on. Look at Bethune-Cookman. They're without a full-time president. He's just standing in.
Yeah, look at this info. This is article from November 3rd.
Oh my God! Multiple financial control. Oh my God!
This is November 3rd. This is a couple months ago. Multiple financial control issues found again. Not this again. At Tennessee State, this is where Eddie George is.
Let me pull up Eddie George for you. Go ahead, George. I got some reels for you.
It says the audit report once again found. Hold up, wait. Okay. All right, yeah, I'm in the right one. All right. An audit once again found that Tennessee State University didn't show proper financial controls over the university's finances, leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars unaccounted for or misallocated in schools' financial documents. The audit also shows that prior bookkeeping issues were not properly corrected, as school staff said those issues would be fixed in previous audits. The issues range from failing to reconcile the university's bank accounts to enterprising funds between university and foundation bank accounts. Management has not ensured processes were in place to record significant financial transactions. Now I'm gonna tell you, info. This is inexcusable. This is a freaking university. This is not some just ragtag group that's a foundation that's getting money. This is an accredited university of educated black people. This is unacceptable.
Right.
Totally unacceptable.
The bottom line is unfortunately, we have some black people who are running these schools into the ground, and the people who suffer the most are our kids, the students who go there. So I already know that, George, that what's happening, and you probably have noticed this, is that a lot of black people are saying, hush, be quiet, don't talk about the HBCUs, you're making us look bad. But why should we turn our back? If we're going to talk about the effery that goes on out here in the streets, why can't we expose the effery of our so-called black intellectual classes or bourgeoisies that are robbing our kids blind in the universities where they're supposed to be above all of that, right?
Yeah. Watch this.
Look, go ahead.
The issues cited in the report included 3,246,579 of outgoing wire transfers from the university bank accounts that weren't recorded in the university's general ledger between July 2019 and June 2021. The report also showed that the university account was owed $680,927 at year's end, and due to $419,222 that was transferred from the university to the foundation account in error, along with $151,181 in foundation expenses for 2020 paid by the university account, and $102,000 in 2021 of the same error. Now, how are you making these type of errors, man? So this is what I'm asking, right? So you mean to tell me, info, they got the third string backup quarterback handling the finances, but they want Ed Reed, the coach? They want Eddie George to be the coach at Tennessee State, but you got your fourth string running back handling the finances?
Right. Now, I got a video of Ed Reed talking about, if you could pop it on, talking about what the schools could potentially. Go ahead, brother.
How long is this video? This one right
It's just a quick clip. Just a quick. It ain't gonna take up no time. This is here. Go ahead.
I got the whole video, but we'll play.
Yeah, just play a little clip because he made some statements that I thought was very poignant.
He did.
Just click that on, brother.
And the bigger issue, the school is fighting is the money that's owed to them from the land grant money that's been owed to them for the last 50 years. And that's something that can be a huge shot in the arm for our institution. And we have to be responsible enough to then take that money and put it toward infrastructure, put it toward new buildings, put it toward a robust endowment.
But are they doing that?
That can continue to build, to grow, and to set up other funds that's going to deal with the maintenance and the everyday use for our student athletes, and to bring in the talent and teachers where we're well staffed. So there's an opportunity there. Tennessee State has the bones to be a really, it's a great institution, but now it's time to go from good to great, to eminence, to being exceptionally great with those opportunities, with those funds, and so forth. So that's what I'm fighting for right now.
All right, George, this is my point here. He's saying that the Tennessee State has the ability to do great things, but they can't if you got Negroes misappropriating the money. He said himself, use the money to fix the facilities up, to do the maintenance. If you got them doing all this sort of stuff like that, It hurts what Eddie George is trying to do for the school or any other teacher. You see what I'm saying? Like what he's saying is the truth, but it can't come to reality when you got Negroes mismanaging the money that's supposed to be in charge and having standards.
And see, this here, right? This goes into what Eddie George was just talking about. But they talking about Tennessee State here, right?
Mm-hmm.
The main problem was that's why what I said to you, what I was saying to you guys in the chat was, how can you have fourth string quarterback in your financing when you got people like first class guys like Ed Reed and Dion and them? Now watch this, right? What Eddie George was saying was his school is a land grant. The college is a land grant school, and Tennessee State is old. Watch this info. Look at this. This story is from compared to this is from Forbes. So I'll put this article in the chat for people to get it when they say they want you guys want to see the information. Well, this is where we get it from. So this is Forbes. This is an article from Forbes, right? Compared to their predominantly white counterparts, the nation's black land grant universities, which Tennessee State is, watch this, have been underfunded by at least $12.8 billion over the last 3 decades. Now that's important. That's key. Many are in financial dire straits or living under a cloud of violence. Now that's the number one indictment on the black political class and the black lawyers, right? Now let's check this out, right? Inside the men's dormitory at Tennessee State University, the heat and cooling unit is a rusted relic from the 1960s. Nearby in the studio art building, yellow paint is peeling off the cracked plaster walls. 2/3 of the buildings are substantial need of repair, says Glenda Glover, president of the historical black institution in Nashville. Now look, a contracting firm recently paid the bill for TSU's deferred maintenance at $427 million, a nearly unreachable sum for the school with an operating loss of more than $80 million a year, or just $116 million in revenue in a puny $63 million endowment. That's nothing. For years, there have been a lack of funding. Glover says there has been neglect. Now look, this is where the indictment comes in on the black elite. Most of America's 100 historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs, are struggling financially. Now comes the shadow of violence. Bomb threats were made against several HBCUs 3 times in the last 4 weeks.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, including 6 on Monday and at least a dozen on Tuesday. The first day of Black HBCU month. Investigators have yet to find any explosive or identify the subjects. Now I'm gonna skip that. I'm gonna come down here, right? Watch this. All land grant schools, whether black or white, were created with the same purpose: to foster agricultural research and instructions. Most receive their annual appropriations from state legislators in a single lump sum. The record of those appropriations and the side-by-side existence of these historically white and historically black public schools allow Forbes to make the apples-to-apples comparison of per student funding levels by various states. Between 1987, the earliest year for which the comprehensive data are available, and 2020, the 18 black schools were underfunded by an aggregate of $12.8 billion. Adjusted for inflation, over those 33 years, TSU received $1.9 billion less than it should have. So now, in that interview, with brother I keep saying his name wrong. We just played him.
Roland Martin.
Oh no, at the TSU.
No. Eddie George.
What brother Eddie George was saying was, he was speaking to this. You guys owe us $1.9 billion. Do you know the infrastructure and what we can do with that money? Y'all haven't been, but watch this. If I'm leading into why the federal government is doing it. It's a bigger picture here. But
I think I know where you're getting ready to go.
But the $1.9 billion less than should have had it been funded at the same per level of the University of Tennessee. The worse off, North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University NCA&T in Greensboro, founded in 1891, since 1987, has been underfunded by inflation adjust total of $2.8 billion. Do you know how much? Listen, these are agricultural schools. They would have been already afloat doing their thing. They're not getting their money. Now, watch this. It's not unfortunately bad news. Schools in 2 states, Delaware and Ohio, were not underfunded at all. They got their money, right? To some extent, the greater state funding of the predominantly white land-grant schools can be explained by those institutions' strength as research universities. A handful of states like North Carolina reward that strength with extra
dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever you're doing research, they're going to give you extra money because they're making money off of that.
But what happens is when you underfund us and we don't have the capacity to do the research, we're not going to get the money.
We're not going to get the money, right?
We're not going to get the money. In 2020, for example, North Carolina legislature gave NC State just 7% of whose 32,000 students are black, an extra $79 million for research. 15% of its total state appropriation, less than 5% of its $1.6 billion operating budget. By contrast, it gave NCA&T, the black land-grant school, the nation's largest HBCU with 11,700 students, just $9 million.
Compared to $79 million, which they could do a lot with that.
What are they supposed to do with $9 million?
They can't. Then they're going to cover everything. That's true.
For research amounting to 10% of its state's appropriation. But this is the question, Info. Where is our Ed Reeds of attorneys to go in there and get the job done?
Right. So we need our attorneys to go in there and file the proper lawsuits against the federal government, or file the proper lawsuits against the states. Because remember, if you're a state, remember the way it works. If you're a state school, you get both federal and you get state money. If you're private, you don't get federal money. However, George, just keep this in mind. This is something that people don't know. Do you know that Bethune Cookman did get federal money? You know why? Because of the hurricanes, and I think Joe Biden's administration was giving money for their Build Back Better programs. So I did some research on that. Bethune Cookman got some federal money under the whole COVID situation. They got some federal money under that case. But you're absolutely right. What was that? It was something else I was gonna mention. Oh, George, keep this in mind, brother. You do know that several of our HBCUs have been defaulting on loans that they got from the government.
Yes.
Could that be playing a role into why they're not getting? No. Like, for example, if I owe you some money and you say, okay, I got this money for you, but because you owe me something, Info, I'm gonna take my shit off the top.
I'll tell you why. What happens is a lot of them are defaulting because they're hemorrhaging money. And they shouldn't have been defaulting in the first place, because the federal government should have been in making sure that the state allocate these funds to these universities in the first place.
Facts.
Like when you come to North Carolina A&T State University, they owe $2 billion.
Right.
You got Florida A&M, they owe $1.9 billion.
Right. But it doesn't hurt them. It doesn't do them any favors, though, George, when you have administrators who are fiscally irresponsible with the money that they do have, when they're already bleeding money and they're already underfunded by the feds, but then they come in there and do some misappropriation with money. You see how it all makes HBCUs look bad when HBCUs are asking for money, because they're saying, well, wait a minute, you guys got debt and you got administrators that's getting you all that's cutting bad deals with you. Bethune Cookman, I didn't bring this up. Do you know Bethune Cookman had a bad dormitory deal that they had to recut with the government to bring down their debt? I think was it Bethune Cookman? Yeah. I think I got the video on that too.
And look, let me say this to you, right? What happens is, when you have generations of ineptitude and underfunding, and basically people operating through poverty, you're going to have more activity going. You're going to start having, because the integrity is down, the morale is down. So what happens is, The black elites have to fix this problem. But I'm gonna say this, right? I'm gonna lay this out for a minute, right? Give me 2 minutes. I'm gonna lay this out. What you guys have to understand, something, and I told O'Shea Duke Jackson this on the phone 2 days ago. We were having a debate, and he disagreed with me at first, until I had to fully explain where I was going. I was telling him, I said, you ever think that the scholastic parts of the white universities, the basketball, the football, baseball, wrestling, all of that stuff is dominated by us for the most part.
Facts.
The TV revenue, the billion dollar enterprise that these white universities are able to have based off of the black child. We was able to keep our children at home and send them to our universities in 5 years, 5 to 10 years. We would quadruple this money because all the endorsements and the TV deals would come back home. Now,
I've been saying that too, George. I know where you're going.
But this is the problem. This is a well-organized machine that's been going on since the 60s. And to stop this, right? Even if our black kids will come, this is where I do agree with O'Shea, right?
Okay.
The white schools still would be strong because you still would have some black kids going there. But this is the part that O'Shea missed that the white man knows. The minute we decide to not be a talking point and become a thing, when we decide to say, hey, we're going to keep our children home, and that's operated as a collective thought, one body, one thought unit. We are going to keep our children home at our universities. That begins to change the mindset on how you view yourself and the capabilities of what you can do for yourself. That's a detriment to the system that's set in place. It's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's about the way you view yourself. And as long as we can keep you in a state of ineptitude, we can keep our systems running. So what they do is, so I had this way, I said, O'Shea, just think about this, O'Shea. If we had 5 years of keeping our children at our universities and bringing the money to our universities, and within 5 to 7 years of doing business with all the corporate structures, and do you understand the relationships with that and the bonds that the universities would develop, and it would start to alter the way you see yourself. And now
you get a self-esteem in the way you see yourself.
We're in a cycle now of ineptitude and low self-esteem because as grown men, right in front of our women, we got to go to another man and still beg for something. That's a psychological effect.
It's a psychological effect because these black administrators have to beg the white man for money to save them. And then you gotta also look at this when you have these universities in the shape that they're in due to not having resources, but then you have corrupt administrators. That also we also got to bring up the fact that self-hate plays a role in this. That you say, well, why is it that black students are in these situations? Well, I think it has a lot to do with the self-hate that we have for each other as black people, and like George is saying, a lack of self-esteem, to the point that you have black administrators that are not taking care of black students properly by taking care of basic things like maintenance of a dormitory room, having crews to clean up mess. Anytime our kids have to continue to protest, you had a protest going on out there in Daytona, Florida with Bethune Cookman students. They're protesting. Those administrators didn't just up and say, let's clean this up because we love our kids. And you can't tell me, ladies and gentlemen, that they didn't know that these schools or these rooms have these problems. For them to get out there, I think I played a video where one of the students said that they had been emailing the administration, they had been calling the administration, and nobody listened to them. And now they're fed up and they had to protest. They said that Ed Reed literally put the battery in their back to get out there, meaning it wasn't just about Ed Reed. Ed Reed actually gave them a spark to stand up and say what needs to be said. A lot of those students out there in Bethune-Cookman some of them didn't want to say what they felt on camera with the news because they're afraid that there'll be retaliation against them if they're recognized on camera. So, and the football players, I saw a Twitter feed. The football players are continuing to go in on the university about the equipment. Why would these football players lie about having to share equipment, not having proper locker rooms, the whole 9 yards? I mean, the last time I checked, you got high schools that got locker rooms. You got high schools that got better fields in condition, that better facilities. A high school having better facilities is embarrassing. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, and see, the thing is, like, you got South Carolina State. They owe $424 million. And the thing is, this stuff is going to continue to happen. So when I was explaining to O'Shea, I said it's about the mindset and the way you view yourself. For any black women that's watching us right now, every little girl, boy, teenage girl, teenage boys came out of your womb. They came through me, they came out of me and right through you. You know what we do? We voluntarily send our children right over to them because we believe, like, you literally have people saying, they took a better job. But this is the problem. You don't even, if I had the power to stop you, freeze you, and then I could make you listen to yourself. When you say that, you don't even realize what you're saying. You're saying that something better than what you are outside of you is better.
I get it, George. I get it. But see, this is the thing, Joe, George. You see what's going on with the students. There's students that are saying that they're getting sick from these conditions.
Yeah.
There are students that have said that they have tried to contact the administration and they have not listened to them, which has driven them to doing the protest, right?
Yep.
Now, why do you think our people would... Now, I can understand why our youth like this would take that attitude that I'm going to a better school by leaving this HBCU. If they're being treated like this, then that feeds into the mentality that what the white folks got is better.
Yep. And all
that's what breeds it.
No, I agree. And see, this is the thing, though. For all of us out here that's B1 that's been teaching for years, all of us are equipped with a sword and shield to understand the playbook.
Right.
I know what breeds it. But we got to stand pat and speak out against it. We can't change our stance because we know that the system is set up for ineptitude, for us to operate in ineptitude. Listen to this. Listen to what Alan Ellender said, a former Louisiana state senator said. This is what the white elites in elite positions in America say about black people. And they say about the black elites. Listen, It is a sad spectacle, to say the least, and it lends one to the inevitable conclusion that up to now, the Negro race has not shown itself capable of effective self-government. So now, when you have a former U.S. senator of Louisiana speaking this way, this permeates all through the Senate floor. And this is the way that they view you. And remember, they believe that they have the right to govern you. So you have years and years of conditioning of viewing yourself as a nigga, so you behave as one. So now, because of that, we can, and I gotta say it, and I know it's unpopular, but I gotta say it because I gotta stand 10 toes down. You can never, ever, ever, ever get on a white publication and say I got a better job. Don't ever do that. Because all they're doing is sitting in the corner rubbing their hands like, this is what they're saying. Watch this. They're saying this when you say that. Those who would mix little children of both races in our schools are following illegal, immoral, and sinful doctrine. This is what they say. This is a former U.S. senator. We are not going to comply with the Supreme Court's decision of putting whites and blacks together, but unless we advise the fact, the better, whatever. Hold on, I'm trying to find. Look, get those niggers. These are all sheriffs and police and congressmen and presidents. And so what I'm trying to say to you guys is, when I use the term, hold on, where the lady at? This is Miss J.E. Andrews, right? All we need to do is insist that the Negro get back in line. So you see what Robert DeSantis is trying to do down in Florida, right?
Yes.
So when I'm telling y'all, as a B1, I don't give a good goddamn how much money they offer Dion. Don't you ever. Now listen, if you not B1 or you don't understand and you say it, but if you are a B1 person, I don't give a damn if it's goddamn rats pissing on cotton down there. Don't you dare part your lips to say he got a better job. You hold the fucking line. You hold the line, because I'm gonna tell you why you gotta hold the line. This is what they think about us. And they got the game checkmated to the point where they can sabotage our shit to make us come over there. The same way they was burning our cities down and making us have to go to them to beg for jobs. So when we had septic systems, toilets running down south in our cities and our own banks, they would come and wipe it out. So now you gotta go groveling to the white man. They were gonna sabotage your shit to make your best have to come to them. So now when you say I got a better job, no, you didn't. You gotta stay the course, fight the good fight. I'm gonna prove my point right here. Right here, I'm gonna prove my point.
Oh, I gotta tell you something. I gotta make an announcement.
Go ahead.
This is some information I just ran across. This happened in 2018 at Bethune Cookman. They just have not ran the institution properly. This was in 2018. 4 members of Bethune Cookman University Board of Trustees resigned last week. This was in 2018, everybody, following a Tuesday letter from Robert DeCline, the original president of Bethune Cookman not that long ago, who I guess is the one who ended up stepping down. National Alumni Association of Bethune Cookman were very upset. This is what I want to read here. The National Alumni Association that faulted the board for being unable to protect the school's finances and called for members to resign, to turn in their resignation. Daytona Beach News Journal report. This is in 2018. You're asking yourself, the gentleman that was talking to Roland Martin, who's just interim president, the reason why he's in that position, brother, because the president that was there prior to him got himself caught up in a situation where the alumni called out the board of trustees, said y'all got to go because of mismanagement of funding. I wonder if Roland Martin has even brought that up.
And he did. I didn't play the whole part. Now,
that's 2018 when that happened.
I want to address this, right? This is important. He said the thing is you're being disingenuous to the truth. Well, then watch this, because I always tell the truth. Now watch this. You guys got to pay attention. What are these schools offering? We seen it on the video, so many conditions. So now you saw a video, but do you know the history of the HBCUs? Do you know what they offer? Number one, right? Do you know what they offer? Do you know how many the number of black physicians that come out of HBCUs, like Xavier and places like that, right? Do you know the underfunding of what I just showed? Hold on. What I just showed, because see, what we got to do is tell the truth and shame the devil, because we like to use talking points, but we don't do research, right? Again. Now, the reason why I showed this here of the underfunding that the states and the federal government was doing to HBCUs was to keep them from their ability to compete. See, the part that you guys don't realize, and a lot of us talk this B1 stuff, but we don't read the playbook, man. We don't read the playbook. Listen. I suggest y'all go look up Memorandum 46 and what they did to go stop.
To keep black people from connecting with brothers and sisters in the continent.
And then they killed off a lot of the leaders in the continent and killed off a lot of leaders here, right?
Yeah, that was under Jimmy Carter's administration.
Then they hit us with a heroin holocaust and a crack holocaust. They always sabotage the stuff that we do. Now I'm gonna teach. The children we give birth to, we send our children to their universities, and they got large endowment funds, right, from TV contracts, and also people going back and giving money because in their schools, and when those white kids graduate, they graduate to go make six figures and $1 million earnings, and they give that money back to their universities. What happened is, because we are underfunded, we're not producing those type of children in this society for us to be able to give it back to our universities. So when you see mold, what you see is, number one, bad leadership, but also sabotage from the goddamn government, because the black body is worth billions to them. But see, when we teach this B1, hold on. But you said, I'm trying to understand, you don't send the funnels, you use bleach and water cleaning the grounds. Right, but this is the thing. Again, this plays out on every level, not just the universities. How many people got organizations and stuff in the black communities that y'all don't support? Y'all don't support. See, this is what I'm saying. Listen, it's not just an HBCU thing. It's a black thing.
Right. So George, I see what you're saying. You're saying the problems that we see with our HBCUs are a reflection of the problems that we have in our communities. So the schools are reflecting the problems that we have in our community, and the community is reflecting the problems that's in the school. And so when we look at these black administrators running amok, it's the same thing that happens when you have black people running amok in our communities that are being dishonest to black people. So it's just transferring over to the bourgeoisie class. So I see what you're saying here, that there's a bigger symptom. What you're seeing in the HBC is a symptom of a bigger problem that we have in the black community. And it's spilling over into our intellectual institutions. That's a fact. I agree with that. Good point.
Watch what Eddie George said. Hold on for a second. Christopher Johnson, tell me, what is B1? B1 is a talking point. No, who's B1? If you want to be technical, see, this is what I'm saying, like this YouTube Spaces. What is B1? Show me the B1 crew, where they become a thing where you can see it moving with one consciousness. It's not there yet. It can be developed. We have individual B1 people, but you can't just say it's the university, but then go and talk black shit, but be happy when we go over to white folks. You can't do that. So listen, let me play some more of that. Hold on.
Oh, they're saying there's no sound, George. Click the sound.
I know why.
Yeah, just unmute it. Yeah, turn the unmute the video itself.
I gotta reshare it first.
Reshare it, and then make sure you hit that button for sound.
Yeah. All right, hold on.
It's coming up, folks. It's coming up.
They should be able to hear it now.
I just did a deep dive into my spiritual self and asked myself the question, is this what I'm meant to do at this point in time in my life? I never thought about coaching, period. You know, didn't want to had nothing to do with coaching, because I saw the stress and all of the challenges that coaches go through on a day-to-day basis dealing with personalities. And I didn't know if I wanted to take that on. I mean, I took a lot of hits as a player, and I know firsthand of what a coach goes through, and to go through that selfishly, I said, no, I didn't want to do it. But I asked myself the question, will this make a change in the lives of the young men?
Listen.
I like to pride myself on being a servant leader. That's what I try to model myself after. And if this was something on my deathbed that I would have regretted not doing, I said, I'm going to go ahead and do it, because that's something that doesn't come around often. For someone to not have any coaching experience at all on any level, to be asked to be the leader of an HBCU and change a lot of the things that's going on, not just on the football field, but what's happening, away from it, in terms of buildings being built and business being done correctly, and hopefully, getting funds that was due to the owed to the institution from 50 years prior. If I can be a part of that change and help it become sustainable and have it grow in the capacity where it's going to bring.
Let me pause it right there for me. Did you hear what he said, Info? He said, if I could be a part. Now, what he's speaking to is, what Eddie George is saying is, the university for the last 50 years is owed this money. You have to give us our money where we can develop our own stuff. You have been sabotaging our schools for years. Now, people have spoken out, but they're not allowed enough voice like Eddie George. I'm allowed enough voice. So what he's saying is, I'm not going to leave because I knew what the job was when I came here. I knew that it was mold. I knew that it was misappropriation. I came here to fix the problem. And Eddie George never went public with what's going on. He kept his mouth shut. He got his hat down, and he's just there to do the job, to finish the assignment. And I'm gonna tell you, if you want to really be B1, this is practicing being B1, because you have to know that everything that we've tried to accomplish has always been sabotaged. They make money off of black bodies, the black mind. They take our best and they put us to work for them. So now, in order to fix it, you gotta know that going to your shit is going to be shit. It's going to be messed up. It's going to be misappropriations. It's going to be dirt. It's going to be mold. And in order to fix it, we got to stay there and fix it and know that we at war. Other than that, don't talk about the white man. Don't talk about racism and discrimination, because fixing your stuff, you know there's going to be a fight to have to fix your stuff, because their lifestyle is predicated on taking your best from you. And this is what I've been saying. But let's let Eddie George tell y'all.
The dreams of young student athletes. I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do it, because that's something that doesn't come around often. For someone to not have any coaching experience at all on any level, to be asked to be the leader of an HBCU and change a lot of the things that's going on, not just on the football field, but what's happening, away from it, in terms of buildings being built and business being done correctly, and hopefully, getting funds that was due to the owed to the institution from 50 years prior. If I can be a part of that change and help it become sustainable and have it grow in the capacity where it's going to bring the dreams of young student athletes and students all over together, have it come to fruition, I wanted to be a part of that. So that's the bigger reason. It was a bigger mission for me at this point in time in my life. So I can always go hit a 9-iron on the golf course, or I can go back to acting at some point in time. I can always build a business, but to, again, be selfless and to try to be the beacon of light to make things better for students, student athletes, that's what I wanted to do.
We've seen coaches, HBCU coaches, prominent NFL stars, Hall of Famers come back and give the HBCUs, give their time to HBCUs and their talent. And it's a fine line to walk. And I'm glad that you brought up having to fight some to get things the way that they should be. How do you walk that line between, hey, this has got to get done, we are lagging behind here, and like shaming the school? Right, we've seen sometimes, and I'm thinking about Ed Reed in particular. That popped off
it's
this
funny.
weekend.
I was just reading some of the comments from his Twitter, or his Twitter post yesterday, where I think it was on Instagram Live.
Yep.
And it's frustrating. He didn't understand exactly what he was getting himself into. And when you get under the hood and you really see what's going on, you do see the mold in the apartments, you see the mold in the dorm rooms, you see the facilities, the locker room is not the best, it's not clean, it's all of those things. But guess what? That's why you're there. And I choose to do it through action. I choose to do it through, hey, let me roll up my sleeves.
Oh, hold on. Now, Info, you hear him, right?
I definitely hear him.
Now watch this. What did he just said? That's why you there. Now,
that's why you're there. You're there to fix the problem. That's why you're there.
For my brother Christopher Johnson, we can't talk this B1 stuff. And when the white man punch you in the face back, we start running away. You gotta stay there, roll up your sleeves, and get dirty. And you gotta kick out the bad administrative people. You gotta clean up the trash. We gotta do it. That's just what. Listen, it ain't me. Eddie's saying this. Eddie said, "I knew what the job was when I went there." Eddie said he looked under the hood and said, "Oh my God," but he went in anyway.
Right.
That's
well, I think that he made a really good point though when he said that maybe Ed Reed didn't understand or know what he was getting himself in. And let's keep this in mind too. A lot of these guys like Deion Sanders and Ed Reed, a lot of them did not experience an HBCU. They have experience having good facilities, playing in the NFL, playing at PWI colleges and what have you. But I have to tell you this, though, on the flip side, though, George, I have to say this, though. Even though people didn't like the way Ed Reed voiced his opinions and thoughts about the facilities that he was looking at, we have to admit that he may have sparked something.
Yes.
That could be for the better good down the line. So even though he doesn't get the coaching job, I said on my own stream, I don't think that's important right now. I think what's more important is that he's given voice to students who were afraid to speak, and because of what happened to him, they're now speaking out about some of the problems that they have been dealing with. And I think that's what's getting lost in this whole argument is that it's the college students, it's black kids. Look, man, let me say this to folks that's in the chat room right now. Let's keep it real. If your son or daughter was going to that school or any of these schools in that condition, and I said it myself, whether it's a PWI or not, you're not going to be happy with that at all as a parent.
Nope.
Period. You're going to want to call somebody out and hold somebody accountable.
You know what happens though? You know what happens? We got to learn from history. But you know what? Let me just play some more Eddie first, and then we'll talk. You got something that you want to share too when it's done, right?
Oh yeah, I have another clip.
Right.
This is specifically about Bethune Cookman and some of the issues they've had with their housing.
Right. All right, because I'm gonna address something that you said that was important after Eddie, because what you said was important.
In front of these people, corporations, the president, the politician.
Now listen to what he's saying. This ain't me talking. This is
in the apartments, you see the mold in the dorm rooms. You see the facilities. The locker room is not the best. It's not clean. It's all of those things. But guess what? That's why you're there. And I choose to do it through action. I choose to do it through, hey, let me roll up my sleeves and get in front of these people, corporations, the president, the politicians, and say, basically, what are we doing here? Here it is, 2023, and it looks like, these buildings are still in the 1950s. It has the same mold on it when I was there, because we actually, as the Tennessee Titans, we stayed on campus at Tennessee State in some of those dorm rooms. So it's not a place where you can take great pride in, because you're not there's no plan to move it forward. If this is the problem, then what is the plan to make it better? My own son is going to Tennessee State University. So I've got to make this work. I must make this work.
Yeah.
I've got to see that change happen. So it's much bigger than just football. It's just providing a quality of life that these students absolutely deserve. Getting their Pell Grant money on time. Making sure that they're well fed.
Let me pause it right there. Now I want y'all to understand something. And my brother Christopher. This is the thing, like Info said, on the flip side with the mold, and he would be skeptical. He wouldn't want his children there, right? And I would agree, but there's a but in there. And I'm gonna explain the but. And this goes along with what Eddie is saying. There was a period of time, right, but this is the thing. This is the thing. Holding them accountable and running to white folks ain't the answer. Because I'm explaining to you. This administration, I agree. This is why we're doing the stream, and I believe that they're being held accountable now, my brother. But let me explain to you where we make mistakes as black people. They sabotage our stuff, and they make it almost to the point where we can't even coexist in it, right? We can't even coexist in it. And then what we did was, Christopher, was for the last 60 years, we've been running over to white folks, running to their schools, running to their jobs, allowing them to teach our children. We've been fed up with black people and been running over to white people while at the same time complaining about white people. So what I'm saying is, I would agree with you. I wouldn't even argue the point of all the bullshit we see, but if we got to go clean it up, because us over here with white folks haven't worked, Christopher. It hasn't worked. It hasn't gotten us nowhere. The black athlete making all that money for these universities has gotten him nothing but a bunch of material items, and 5 years after he's retires, he's broke. None of that money trickles back into the community. None of his actual athletic prowess through TV revenue and things come back to the black community or the universities. None of that stuff none of his talents or her talents that come out of the womb of the black woman has benefited economically our communities. It benefited theirs. So what I'm saying is, even though we're fed up with the mold and we're fed up with the stuff that they sabotage and the inept business practices, us going over there to them hasn't worked. That's all I'm saying. It hasn't worked. But we actually are. But this is the thing. We're actually in the worst place than we are in slavery. But this is the thing. You're right in everything you're saying. But going over to white folks to get a better job hasn't worked for us. So the only thing we can do, Chris, is clean up the mold. We got to clean up the mold. That's the only thing we can do. Because since 1970, 2 years after Dr. King died, am I wrong, Info? Us going over to them for the last 60 years hasn't worked. You muted, bro.
I agree with you that Eddie George, what he's saying is powerful. That, okay, instead of complaining, that's the reason why I'm here. That's the reason why the school needs me, so that I can be the change that I want to see in the school and that I want to see for our youth coming up. I agree with that philosophy. Where I have my bone of contention, as I'm going to say again, is that I want black folks to understand that another reality to why these schools are in their condition that they're in, some of them, not all, is because unfortunately it ain't the white man that's doing it. You can make the argument about they're not getting the money that they're supposed to get. That's true.
We ain't doing our job.
But the white man is not the one that's that's managing the money that they do have. The white man isn't the one that's deciding, hey, I'm going to embezzle the money. The white man isn't the one that's getting the money and not spending it on maintenance and fixing things and it's black administrators or the wrong administrators who are making it difficult for the black people that are there who want to fix the problems. Now, look, George. Even if we don't like, because even if people don't like Ed Reed's delivery, even if people think that he doesn't have the temperament to be a leader or the coach of the team, at the same time, I think it was out of his anger or out of his passion because he wants to help the kids. And from what I understand, he didn't want to talk about it on the Roland Martin show. Roland Martin seemed to want to open up another can of worms on that, but it looks like Ed Reed was prepared to bring in resources from other well-known black athletes to Bethune-Cookman.
Right.
And I got the feeling in the first video when he said, remember in that first video, because I have the video in its full entirety, Joe. I don't know if you just got the first portion of it, but I got the video in its full, the one where he talked about this is trash out here.
Yeah,
I've got the whole piece. I have the whole full video of that. But this is the thing, though, George. Remember in that video, he specifically said that he said that the administration is laughing at me. I'm just saying here. I wonder if part of his frustration came out of the fact, and this is just a speculation, that he did try to talk to people at Bethune and he didn't get a good response from them because he kind of said, hey, they're laughing at me. When I went to them to ask them, they're laughing at me. They think it's a game. So I think even though he did come out and apologize and say he was unprofessional, I wonder if his words that he said by the president there on this interview that he didn't like, I wonder if that came out of the fact that he tried to get them to help him and understand what was, and they sort of like laughed him away because he's just a football coach, right?
Remember I said info just 30 seconds, and remember I said it's 3 different black communities. You have the upper tier blacks that don't give a shit about, like Fred, like the billionaire blacks and 100 blacks that don't give a damn. And then you have the upper class educated black folks like the Du Boisian class of back in the day that still exists now. That don't give a shit about the regular class, right?
And even though Ed Reed was a football player and he made money, I still don't look at Ed Reed from the way he moves. And you know, I saw him when he played at Miami. I don't see him as a bourgeoisie. He doesn't move or even behave in that way.
He represents the lower class blacks that had talent, that got money, but
they got money, right?
Remember, what happens is, what I was saying was, you have HBCU graduates, but then you have blacks that graduated from Harvard, Bucknell, Stanford, but they went to these colleges because of the blacks of the past fought and bled for them to be able to get into these universities, graduate. But now they have an allegiance or an elitist attitude towards their own people. So what happens is, Christopher's right, but see, my only argument is that I bring to the table is, this is the thing. You're right, info. Christopher's right. The only thing we was in the meeting we were at a closed door meeting, and it's getting heated because we all want the same thing, but we don't know how to fix it, right?
Right.
My argument would be, everything you guys are saying is right. The only reason why I would get pushed back, because we got to go and do it then, because going over there to them hasn't worked. Like, we got to go clean the mold up. We got to, we need more people got to go down there and help the brother, because we have 60 years since the death of Dr. King, of seeing what the outcome has been going over there to them.
Well, to Ed Reed's credit, during the rant that some people didn't like, what did he say in that rant as people were making statements to him on his Instagram? He said, come out here and help us. Yep. If y'all think this ain't real, he was asking for people to come out. Look, George, I bet you if me and you were in Florida, in that part of Florida, and we actually went to that campus looking for Ed Reed and say, brother, what can we do to help? I bet you Ed Reed would be more than happy to say, thank you, brothers. I think that's the kind of, I just think he comes off to be, to me, he's real. I know people are looking at his emotions and they think he's demonstrative, but I think he's a real dude. And I don't think he would turn anyone, me or you, turn us around and say, nah. I think he would be elated to see black people come down there and help him and help the school mainly.
Well, I think I'm gonna play some more, then I'm gonna explain what the problem is. Let's play some more, then we're gonna play the one you got.
All of these things have to change. You know, and the football games is one thing, but the quality of life and the experience and the education that this can provide for our students for years to come is much more important.
Yeah, I was going back and reading one of the interviews you did right when you took the job, and you said then you weren't afraid of a slow build, and these kind of things take time. The other thing that stood out was that you don't think outside the box, you eliminate it, which I think is just indicative of who you are. When you talk about your career, when you talk about your financial advisor business, when you talk about going on Broadway, and now being the head coach after not having had, head coaching experience going into this job at Tennessee State and taking that next step. And like you just said, your son's coming to play for you. You have a game against Notre Dame to open the season next year. Just tangibly, what does that next step forward for HBCU football look like? You kind of just summed up part of it in terms of getting those basic needs taken care of and providing the living environment and the ultimate college football experience for these kids.
Yeah, well, a couple things. One, on the field, from an infrastructure standpoint, for us to be successful and for us to compete at a high level and compete against the other prominent schools in the FCS, on the FCS level, we have got to build a football ops center, which is on the docket to be built. When that is, I'm not sure, but that's going to allow us to have everything in one place. That's locker room, that's training table, that's meeting rooms. It's the athletic center. It's the weight room, all in one place, because right now it's piecemeal throughout the entire campus, and it's tough to be efficient when you're. Excuse me.
Sometimes they have a mind of their own. It's okay.
So it's tough to be efficient when it's all over the place, and it's taking away the energy, the morale of our student athletes when you have to literally walk from where our meeting rooms are at Henkel Hall, then they have to walk down to get dressed for practice, and then go to a field either in the hole or way up top on the top field or in the indoor to go every single day in the cold rain, sleet, or hail. That's what we have to do. Dealing with, sometimes the fields aren't adequate. We got to deal with potholes. I lost for my first year. I had 2 players go down with injuries because they stepped in potholes, not playing football, but stepping in a pothole. So
let's share yours info, and we'll come back to his.
This is about Bethune. So what my basis here, there we go.
Battle to dig out of debt. The historically black university has been dealing with financial struggles for years now. But today, it announced a new strategy to hopefully get back on track. News 6's Jerry Askin explains.
University leaders saying it's a step to better address their financial struggles and work towards paying off old debt. An agreement, they say, settles an old dorm deal and works to maintain some of the buildings here.
I know we had a lot of fear about where we would end up.
Senior Mervia Swice here at Bethune-Cookman University knows BCU has seen its share of financial struggles, and that's why she's glad to know more is being done to change that.
Well, I do think that it does affect the academic performance and future of the students.
Today, university leaders announced they've acquired a new loan agreement after what they say was a bad dorm deal for this on-campus dorm back in 2014.
It was the worst deal in the history of our university.
Interim President Dr. Hiram Powell said the new agreement has the university now paying about $108 million compared to the original loan of more than $300 million. It's in part thanks, he said, to a program by the U.S. Department of Education for debt relief that a few HBCUs received.
What confidence do you have that these financial struggles the university has had before will not happen again?
We've put some financial controls in place that will ensure that this won't happen. We've had budgetary training.
This marks a new beginning for Bethune-Cookman.
Board of Trustees Chairman Belvin Perry Jr. said the Finance Committee meets once a month, and they've also hired an internal auditor.
Avoiding as much debt as possible, and 2, living within our means.
Right.
In Daytona Beach, Volusia County, I'm Jerry Askin, getting
That's
results,
about
News 6.
George, I wanted to say something real quick. Once again, on that particular video, you see that they have a whole different president who's just a stand-in president. And you see the president that Roland Martin was interviewing, same thing. He's not the official president, but he's standing in until maybe they make him official. HBCUs do have this problem where they have high turnover amongst the individuals that are leading the school. But I like what the brother said there. He said, we're now getting on top of our finances better. This is what they have to do. They can't sign bad deals, and they got to get back to get themselves together fiscally. They got to be more fiscally responsible. Now, maybe, and that wasn't that long ago, George, that video clip that you saw, that wasn't like 1,000 years ago or 10 years ago or something like that. That was very recent when that took place there. I just think that people that are the black people who are running these schools have to do better, because these are usually schools being run by the black elite that would tell me and you that we need to listen to them and follow their lead. Right? That we need to listen and buckle down.
Look at this info. Look at this info. Look at this. Oh, shit. Hold on. Let me share it over with you. Watch this. This is why I always take the hardline stances that I take, because it's important that we understand and our teachings, that we understand our history and what we're dealing with.
Yes.
Ever lose sight of what they did. Now, this is a former state senator, Sam Ellingard. He died in 1991, right? He said, I have worked, he's former state senator of Alabama. He said, I have worked Negroes on the plantation for years. I have never had a bit of trouble with any of them. I know what's best for them. Our sole purpose is to maintain segregations. That's what we intend to do. Now, watch this. Watch this. This is a former Supreme Court justice in Mississippi. He died in 1973. Watch this info, man.
I'm listening.
This is what they think of us. You can dress a chimpanzee, horse break him, and teach him to use a knife and fork. But it will take countless generations of evolutionary development, if ever, before you can convince him that a caterpillar or a cockroach is not a delicacy. Likewise, the social, political, and economic and religious preferences of the Negro remain close to the caterpillar and the cockroach. So,
comparing us to roaches.
When I'm telling people what B1 really is, the reason why I take the hardline stance, because no matter what, Colorado University, Alabama University, Mississippi, Southern SMU, these corporate structures, this is what they think of you. They always thought of you this way. If any Africans have become so deluded as to want to enter our white schools, patronize our hotels and cafes, enjoy social equity with whites, then true kindness and sympathy requires me to advise you to make your homes in some other state. They have never wanted to be around you or be a part of anything, any type of justice that we want. None of that has changed. Look at all the stuff that still goes on today. So let's listen to some of the young people. This is some of the people at the school that Roland was talking to.
Recordings just got better. Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce that local recording.
Cookman.
Well, to be frank, it's a lot going on here at Bethune-Cookman University. Today, we did have students come out and really speak about how they felt in terms of the conditions that we're forced to face here at Bethune-Cookman University. I myself have been here 4 years, and I've experienced so much in terms of like lack of leadership, lack of resources in terms of like our facilities. And I did send in some pictures in terms of like what my dorm looked like my sophomore year. Like, so there's a lot going on from top leadership all the way down to student leadership. We're
Janiyah is also 69th Bethune-Cookman University student body vice president, who joins us as well. So you said you've gone through a lot, and again, anyone else can jump in here. Yesterday, the president said, well, some of the students are saying that's mold, but really it's mildew, but mildew also turns into mold. We had the the president said, we're not sharing helmets. The player said, no, we were sharing helmets. And so what jumps out at me is, how do you have such two stark worlds where students are saying, this is what we are contending with, but the president is saying, no, that's not reality. Let's stay focused on facts.
I would speak on that. Student body president Wilbur Stubbs Jr. For me, I would definitely say a lot of that comes from miscommunication.
It was student body president Wilbur Stubbs. You were talking, and you started by saying it's miscommunication. Go ahead.
Yes. So, like I was saying before, I feel like it's just miscommunication coming from administration and then just the student body, because again, you're hearing one thing from the football players and then another thing from the interim president, and the same thing here on the student administration side. We hear stuff from students, and we go and advocate about it, and he's saying a whole different story. So it's just all about miscommunication. Like I was stating before, my last meeting with the university president that was in person was back in beginning of August, on August 10th to be exact, and I've requested numerous amount of meetings from that time on.
Wow. And that president ain't there no more.
Wait, hold on. Wait.
This is crazy.
Last time you met in person with the university president was in August?
That wasn't that long ago.
And you've made numerous requests with President Drake to meet, and he hasn't.
Right. And again, it was another time on the 31st of August, to be exact, where we was about to talk about a different issue.
See, George, this is George, this is This is not appropriate, George. If this was your son, what would you be thinking?
I'll be ready to go down and kick his ass. Listen, this is the thing. Let me preface it by saying this. You and Christopher are right? I want to go down and kick his ass, but what puts us in a conundrum, the problem that we run into is, no matter how mad I get, I send him to this white man.
Right.
Because we've been doing that.
You still don't want to send him to the white man because we've been doing that, and that hasn't worked either.
Yeah, we got to figure it out. Because
right.
I'll give you an example. It may work individually, but as a collective, look what we keep birthing our children into.
Right. And George, to reinforce what you're saying, this is important to drive this home. Although we don't like the things that we're hearing about the conditions and what this young man is saying here about how the president sort of blew him off, this is the reality, brother. The majority of our black professional class graduated from an HBCU. Do you know the majority of your black doctors and medical professionals got their degrees, such as places like Xavier, from a black university? Most of your black teachers, black people who go into the teaching profession, have gotten their degrees from HBCUs. So it was the HBCUs that have been very responsible for what we would call our black middle class, or what have you, our professional class, I would say. So to go back to what you're saying is, they do serve a important to our community because that's where we've gotten most of our black professionals. But however, not to downplay that, are they living up to the standards with our kids today?
No, I don't think that we're. I think where we're going wrong, we're failing as to. From the time we see, the thing is, as children, when we grow up, we put on clothes that we don't make. We go outside. We go in stores that we don't own. We live in houses, most of us, that we don't own. Mm-hmm. We don't have anything that connects us or make us relevant to each other. So we go down to the HBCUs, and when you get there, you see all the ineptitude and all the things that's bad. So you already have a preconceived notion about the way you view yourself and your own people. Dr. Amos Wilson said the greatest protest that we ever had was the longest running protest we ever in the history of America is the protests of blacks on blacks, of black businesses, black right. So what I'm saying is the reason why we don't give back or we don't go down there and fix our own problems, because we don't see the relevancy in doing it. We don't have nothing that connects us to each other where our lifestyle was predicated or dependent upon each other. I had a debate 2 years ago with Obsidian, and he said something that I couldn't. He shut me up on this part. I was talking about how fucked up the system is and how messed up. Obsidian, you know what he said to me? He said, George, you're wrong on this one. I said, what do you mean? He said, he said the elders did such a great job. You so free today, we don't even think we need each other.
Wow.
I said, oh shit. And I and I went to say something, I thought again, I said, damn, you got
That's a deep statement, yeah.
That's a deep statement. We so free today
that we don't think we need each other. When before we always thought like that yes, it's important for us to need each other because I am, because you are. Yep. And we've gotten away from that value. And that same type of attitude can come in a quote unquote so-called educated person, man or woman, who happens to run a black university. They can still have that mentality the same, even though they're running a university.
Yep. Let's listen to some more.
My student body, and my office is on the whole other side of campus, and I had to walk to where his office was just to find out that the meeting was rescheduled. They asked me to give them my number. I gave them my number, all of my contact information, time, what best times worked for me and everything, and never got a follow-up. And then the only other time following that was probably when we was in preparation of the storm, and they just needed me to help with the communication given out to the students. But other than that, there's never been no type of communication, no weekly meeting, monthly meeting, none of that.
As I listened to that, Janiyah, again, the president came here and said he said on this show that he communicates regularly with student leaders.
He was lying. He was lying.
September, October, November, December, January. I don't
lying.
think meeting in person 5 months ago is regular.
Definitely. It's not.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Renee, I have heard from a number of people saying.
So what she's basically trying to say is there's been a lot of lack of respect for student leadership here on this campus of Bethune Cookman University. I think I speak for the whole body of members of the SGA. Specifically the Warrior Court, my name is Tyler Kelly, and I previously served as the 12th Mr. Bethune Cookman University for the BCU Warrior Court.
I want to ask you a question, right? Because I always ask this question. I asked Christopher this. I asked Christopher this too. I've been asking for the last couple of years when I'm on live. Every year, HBCUs graduate a graduating class, and I always ask, where the fuck are they? They're like invisible to the black community. Like you don't see them. I see the rappers, I see the drug dealers, I see the bad bees and the real niggas, but I don't ever see where is the Fish universities and the Alcorn State universities and where do these kids go when it's time for a voting block? Where are these people?
It's a very good question. It's a very good question.
Here they go right here, but when they graduate, you don't see them no more.
Well, one would make the argument that what happens is that black students go to historical black colleges and maybe you don't see them anymore because they sort of assimilate themselves into white society, into white jobs run by white people. They get a desk job. They feel content. It's what do you call it? It's like they feel content. They got their money. They got their little house or their little apartment, and they feel like they've made it. And sometimes black people have this habit of when we think that we've made it, that, oh, I don't need to protest no more. I don't need to be an activist no more. I don't need to do any of these things because I got the job. I'm working for this white firm and everything's looking good. I don't know. Maybe that's what's happening, that they're disappearing into white corporate America, George.
And see, I'm glad you said that. And this is why I said that us going over to them hasn't worked. Because we take all our talents. So now, no matter how inept and messed up it is, I got to do what Eddie George said. We got to stay. We got to stay. We got to stay.
She was saying before, after some different situations that occurred at the beginning of the semester where there was a change in advisement and there were some different changes in leadership. The same week, we had our first home game, and for the pep rally that week, we had a pep rally for the first home game, and we were without advisement for a little minute, for a second, so we were kind of doing things on our own or seeking the advisement of people that we did know. So we did come up with a concept, and that concept wasn't approved once we met with the new advisement that we received the day before our meeting on that Wednesday. The next day, they told us that they would not like us to, move forward with that concept. But also, as we all know, or as we all may not know, Royal Court is an entity where you can't just do anything, but you definitely have to look unified. And with the advisement that we were having, they
pause it. I'm 2.5 hours in. We're gonna go back to the Ed Reed part. Listen to the last aspects of that. We'll comment on that before we close out. So we just listen to the last of the Ed Reed interview. Because did you see this one, Info? The one he did with Roland Martin? You muted.
I did see this. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Reed, let me chime in, Roland Martin. We appreciate you. I'm Ro Parrish. I work closely with Ed, and we've had a number of conversations today.
I'm sorry, hold on. I'm sorry, what's your name again?
Ro Parrish.
Got it.
I'm a part of Ed's team here.
Got it.
And we've been in contact with people with the administration, with Bethune Cookman, to extend an olive branch, because as you can see, my brother's extremely passionate, but that passion comes from the love that he has for the kids, to try to instruct them, not only on the football field. One of our messages is it's bigger than football. And we've been instructing, these recruits that have come in, the former players, to teach them more outside of the game of football. But like I was saying, we've extended an olive branch to the administration. Yes. To come back and, give us the opportunity. We know that he's passionate, but he put the passion before the purpose. And now we want.
I didn't. The purpose was on, bro. I know y'all. I know what y'all saying because of the post, right?
Right.
It was not that, bro. Because like I said, man, I was here cleaning up with the kids. So how the passion come before the purpose? When we were doing the purpose, as I spoke about it, right? Like I said, I went to Baltimore and I worked with Booker T. Washington, right?
Hold on for a second. I'm glad you said that, Sharif. Akeem. Check this out, info. Black graduates from HBCUs are working in all facets of society. On top of that, you know how much debt they accumulate going to schools like Morehouse and Spelman. I would agree with that. I won't challenge that. The problem that we have is in the situations that these HBCUs are having with money that's owed to them, the conditions, it's our job and our elite and best. We have to fix our own problems. The problem that we have is we only care about ourselves and then we complain. But you know what we'll do? We'll come together to complain about racism. We'll come together to even complain about reparations. But we won't come together to become a thing to force them to give us reparations. Because
when it comes to us and our issues, we have so many excuses.
Yep.
We use that's another problem. We just have too many excuses. And even I hear what you're saying, George, but even with the criticism that is levied towards HBCUs like Bethune-Cookman, for example, we have black people who don't want to come to a reality about the problems in these schools, in some of these schools, and they want to make excuses for that. Now, we know that the biggest excuse, it's not really an excuse, it's facts. They're not getting the funding that they should be getting. But when you begin to say, let's look at what your administration is doing wrong, you'll have a black person who went to an HBCU that will tell you, don't say that, don't say that. But it's proven your president ripped you guys off. I'll stop right there.
It has to be said.
It has to be,
The thing is, we have to pour peroxide on the infection.
Right.
We have to get that scab. Like we have to get the infection out. So we have to talk about it. So it's twofold. It's what everything info just said, and then it's the individual. It's the black people today thinking it's individual. I went to Elman, I went to Morehouse, I got mine. That ain't my problem. Yes, it is your problem.
It is your problem. You are alumni there, right?
Yeah.
See, this is the thing, George. This is the thing. Don't you find it interesting, George, that when Grambling State or Howard or Jackson State, when they have these homecomings, everybody wants to come out for the homecoming and shake it up and have a good time and show all their HBCU pride, right? Everybody comes out of nowhere. You get 30,000, damn near close to 30,000 in a stadium at Jackson State. But when you have an issue like this, now those same people, you can't find them anywhere. Or when they do speak, it's all this, oh, come on now. It ain't. Nah, what about the PWIs? We're not talking about PWIs. That's white folks' business. We're talking about black people, and we should be holding ourselves to a high standard and be accountable for each other.
You know what I just want, info, and the chat. What I want to see in the next 5 years. The only thing I'm asking. I'll say it on two levels. I'm gonna deal with reparations first. We'll come together to argue reparations, but I want y'all to understand some strategy and warfare and the way they operate. If I was the United States, I'd give you reparations for what? Who the hell are you? But now we show up a unified front saying, hey, we're not sending our children over here. You're not getting our vote. This is what we want, right? Hold on, info. Look, I'm gonna lay it out, right? I'm just laying out twofold, right? You force their hand by becoming a we. By showing power now, because that's your leverage. Your leverage is your unity. The second part is, in that thought process of all these HBCU graduates and black professionals.
Now,
hold on. I'm relaying the plane here. With all these HBCUs and black professionals, right? In the next 5 years, you guys got to go down there and get the job done. The money that's owed, y'all got to go fix that problem. The mold, we have able-bodied people that went to these universities that can do the job to get it done. If you can't do it, then stop complaining about the white man, because you complain about him, but you won't even do the shit to fix the shit you can fix.
Right. And I got to say this, George, because Sharif, I don't know if I'm saying his name correct. Sharif, you don't know what you're talking about, brother. Nobody up here is pushing any propaganda. When you say talk about, I'm the wrong person to claim showing receipts, because you can go over to my channel. I got a video that I did about this just this past weekend, and another video where I show all damn receipts, visual receipts, visual. So I'm the wrong person to be making that, talking that bullshit to, because I got videos where I show you the receipts. I did a comprehensive video on the problems with HBCUs, and I show you receipts. I show you the money that they're getting, the money that they're been misappropriating. I name schools, and I show the evidence. So, sir, you better ask somebody.
You know what's funny?
And look, George, this ain't about punching down on HBCUs. We're talking about and I say in that video constantly, it's not all HBCUs. I was focusing on the HBCUs that have the problem. But look, he made a statement in the chat room saying that, well, they've got to work and pay off those loans. Sir, I went to college too. I understand that you got to pay off loans. But what we're saying is that a lot of these HBCUs have black alumni, and we're simply saying that if we can't come out we can't come out when it's time for the football game and the band's dancing and playing music and show our pride, and then when these things are happening to your schools, you don't say anything. You're quiet, you're silent, and only a few people might be talking about it. That doesn't make any sense. It's like black people. It's like we want to celebrate when things are going good, but when things are not so good, now we want to hide and disappear and be in denial of the problems that these historical black colleges have, sir. And on this platform tonight, George has already talked about they're being underfunded. So we recognize that. We've shown videos tonight to show where students have made complaints and concerns. You're talking about showing receipts. We have shown some receipts tonight. These things are happening, and we can't have it both ways. These schools need help, they need support, but they also need what? We've been saying this tonight. The administrators that are not doing the right thing need to be removed, because it's the administrators that are running these schools that are running them into the dirt.
Let me say this real quick.
The students wouldn't be out here complaining, and this ain't the only institution. There's been a bunch of them where students have said they had issues with their administrators.
But watch this. I'm gonna show you how fake this stuff is.
Right.
It's been a long time. Now let's deal with that word trope. TROP. Now watch this. Tell me when black people start using that word trope. When is this?
Oh my God.
See, this is what I'm saying. I have a 5th degree. I have a 5th degree black belt in nigga. A 5th degree black belt in nigga. And this trope word is starting to be used in these social media spaces. This is like the new word in the last year or so that the white man has been using, and these racist tropes. And why nobody talking like that? So now they come, right? Like I said, this ain't no Sharif Hakeem. This is a name that's used. This is what I'm saying. See, I know all this. This is a name that's used.
Yeah, it's a confused individual.
No. I'm gonna tell you, no. They acting like you sound like a ridiculous black person, just like white people are not responsible for. Watch this. See, I read between the lines. Just like white people are not responsible for saving universities or any colleges, white people didn't give back in mass to their schools. Now watch it. This is a white person masquerading as a Negro. So
okay, I see. Right. Oh, okay. All right.
So what I'm saying is, I see behind all this. This is a person that they don't come over here. Just get them out of here.
Right. Just came out of nowhere. Let's get them out of here.
Now watch this, right? As soon as he used the word trope, I knew he wasn't black. Because I've been in these YouTube spaces for since 2008. I have never seen a black person ever use the word trope.
Mm-hmm.
Not one time. And still now, white folks say trope, and those other communities, they say racial tropes, and what I'm saying is, even when we used to be on the panels with O'Shea and the Sunday Rumbles, and some of them coon black dudes would come on. Do you ever hear them say the word trope?
I ain't never heard that word. Like, no.
I see it. See, what I'm saying is, I got an 18th degree black belt nigga. I know when you come and start talking, I know who I'm talking to. So now this is the problem that we have. We know the issues that's in front of us when it comes to right. I don't use like my brother said, he don't use that word. Black people don't use no damn trope. So
Right. That's why I had to block him out too.
we know the issues that's at hand and what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I said black educated people, we got to fix our own problems.
Facts.
We got to figure out how to fix our own problem. I'm gonna play about another couple minutes of this, and then we're gonna close out.
I went in this neighborhood and I talked to people years back. And this man said, my mother was strung out on drugs. My daddy wasn't in my life. And when I heard you came to Bethune-Cookman, I had to come over here. He said, what do you need? I said, man, we need everything. He was like, be more specific. I need you to cut this grass. Man, we chop down trees. They chop down trees. They mow lawns. They still excavating the land right now where the practice facilities was going to be, where it should have been years ago, while I work in this prison building, my office space, with none of the windows open. You understand me?
So one thing that we did have, when one of the initiatives was to have a practice field actually on campus, something that Bethune-Cookman doesn't currently have now.
They bus to the stadium,
so which is not what you want for any respect.
You wasting money doing that. I'm trying to save money.
So Ed and our team had got together. We had started breaking ground and removing debris from the area to start a practice.
Where the homeless people were staying. You understand? Homeless people were staying in those trees where these young ladies, track team, basketball, football, they ice outside of there. So the thought hit me, what if one of these homeless men have a mental breakdown? I stopped a homeless man from walking across the parking lot. He was here. I said, man, you can't be in here. He asked one of the players for change, and the kid gave it to him because the gate is broke, right? The gate's broke.
So there's a number of things that we've wanted to do with Bethune-Cookman practice field, adding the locker room. We have the resources, we have the abilities to do it. We just were encountering so many roadblocks in order to make these things happen. And let me just add another thing. A lot of these things that we were doing, we have assistance from our team, of course, but Ed was financing a lot of this out of his own pocket. And that's something that hasn't really been spoken about, but the passion that he has for these kids. Yes, he did not have this contract, but he was that dedicated. And when you have a gentleman's agreement in place, when you come to terms and nothing signed formally, but you agree that you will do business together, most people act in good faith. And yes, we know about the rant. Everything that was said probably wasn't professional, but at the same time,
it needed to be said.
It wasn't professional, but needed to be said. The point is,
especially at this point, I'm sorry.
We want
it need to be
do everything possible to make change and to put the focus on the kids, give them an experience. So when they came to Bethune-Cookman,
at first, when I seen him going off, I was mad at him for going off. But after a while, listening to other people, listening to other brothers and sisters talk, I came to realization was like I still don't like how he said it, but I understand why he did it.
Right. I understand a little bit better why he did it now. And George, I really understand why he did what he did when now the students have come out and start speaking. It adds more context to the whole thing now. And now we find out if that student was telling the truth, that the president had been avoiding the students. That student president.
Yep.
Damn shame.
Hold on. I think Rowan came.
That's possible, but we stuck around on purpose. Head coaches from HBCU.
I turned down the Jackson State job to come here, Roland Martin. Jackson State Brown called me. Deion Sanders called me himself, man.
Wow.
So listen, everything that Ed is saying is accurate.
Wow, that's deep.
Other offers before Bethune-Cookman in previous years from other
Rambling.
I'm sorry, bro. From other HBCUs, there's been opportunities for Ed to be a head coach at multiple colleges. This was an opportunity. The location, the campus, everything about Bethune-Cookman was extremely appealing, which led him to ultimately choosing this over the opportunity at other institutions. I came here, I was impressed. We hadn't seen everything, but just the lay of the land, the campus, the location and proximity to the beach. We thought this would be a great opportunity, especially being in Florida too. Very familiar with Florida, obviously playing at the University of Miami and going on to work for the Hurricanes after his playing days. So we looked at it as a great opportunity. And unfortunately, there were so many roadblocks that got in the way. But again, the focus right now, first is the kids, but it's just to start with the conversation.
Let's stop it right there. We got, I got like, damn, what's it, 2.5 hours in. Yeah. But what you think? You muted, Info.
I think I'm like you, George. When he first came out with it, I was a little unsure, but then I said, well, why would Ed Reed speak out like this? Why would he lie? Why would he make up stuff? Because people were saying that, well, we didn't see anything where they were doing any cleanup, but then I got a video where they were doing cleanup. So I really realized that, hey, Ed Reed is really on to something here. And then when they decided not to give him a contract, and he did that exiting meeting with his team and those that supported him, and he said they were trying to get me to, this is what happened, George, they really wanted Ed Reed to just pull himself out without the school looking bad for it. Because remember, he said, I'm not going to remove my name as a candidate. I'm not going to do it. And he said that they were trying to get him to kind of like make it look like he just stepped down because of the whole situation. So I'm riding with Ed Reed right now, especially with the fact that the kids have come out there and they're now speaking and saying that there's some bigger problems. And we just heard, and I think that the president right now in his interview with Roland Martin, it just wasn't convincing enough for me. And I don't think the students, they have more to lose by lying than they do to gain by lying, right? They have more to lose as students. Why would they want to make up these lies? If any,
we know that. Hold on. I ain't gonna read it. I'm gonna show y'all this article. I forgot to show this article too. Watch this info. I forgot to show this. Where the hell was it at? Oh, look at this info. Oh shit! Wait a minute. I can't even share it like that. Hold on. Wait a minute. Let me fix the what's the name? I want you to see this. Look, trustees. This was January 2022. Trustees' conflicts in Florida public universities are starting to bleed over in the public view. So now they're in court. They're in court in litigations with the damn trustees at the university. This with the trustees at the university. So this is the stuff that's going on over there. It's just a whole bunch of stuff, man. But at the end of the day, all I'm saying is, if you guys think that you're gonna get a better opportunity over there with white folks, then stop asking for reparations. Just go over there with them. But if you think we deserve reparations and we have a reparations claim based off of years of historical trauma, then that means that you got to roll up your sleeves and we got to go undo we got to fix our problems. I can't talk this B1 shit and then go over there to the Colorado University. No, I got to go to Bethune. I got to go get a rag and a mop and get to work. That's what we got to do, because that's what B1 is. We got to fix. You muted, bro. We got
down to what right. It comes down to what I think Eddie George broke it down as well. That you don't like what you see, but maybe you can be the change. Now, I'm gonna say again, to Ed Reed's credit, this man, from what I understand, he had resources. He said that he said he was going to bring the resources. So see, a part of me, George, feels a little bad about this because I almost feel like Bethune-Cookman is going to miss out on something that really can be transformative for their school. That's what scares me about this. And I kind of wish, because this right now, this is what's going on, George. And maybe, I don't know if you saw this footage or not, and I made a copy of it. It looks like there is older alumni that had a meeting with Reggie Theus while he was on video. It was a video meeting, and they went in on Reggie Theus. They went on the whole situation. And they said, look, yeah, you may not have liked what he said, but damn it, he was right. These are alumni. These are older, and it was older black people talking. You could tell these are people that went to school there back in the day. So the issue is that, will there be a chance that they might change their mind and bring him back? Let me get a picture of that clip there. Look, is there a chance they could bring him back?
I had this one in the tuck. I didn't even show this one.
Uh-huh.
This is the interview with Reggie Theus over here, and it's all just, you know what, I'm gonna say this, I'll say this for tomorrow.
Yeah, save it for another show, man. Don't let all your ammunition come out.
Yeah, close us out, bro. Close us out.
No, I just want to say, hey, George, thank you for letting me come up and be a part of this, George. I got your message. I was rushing home, and I'm just glad that I was able to catch it. You're doing great work over here, and I think the videos speak for themselves. And what I was basically saying is that I hope that there's a chance that Reggie Theus and the administration at Bethune-Cookman can look past Ed Reed's rant and maybe come to an understanding and work with this man, because from what I understand, he has some major people getting ready to drop some money. I think Shaq was one of them. I forgot about, you know who I forgot about, and I saw him with him. Remember Edris James, who used to play? Yeah, Edris James has been involved with him. So I think that Bethune-Cookman alumni and administration needs to look at this a little bit heavily and look at the potential, because while that president is talking about his sponsors, Disney, while he's talking about Disney, a white company.
We don't want people like Ed Reed there.
Ed Reed is about to bring some black money into this. He's going to reach out with black people who got deep pockets that I found out about, that were ready to cut checks to build new buildings and help them out with the infrastructure. So I think they got to rethink this. Yeah. If I was I'd be like, man, we got to change this. So, and then the argument is this. It's another argument. People are saying that they think that it's really Reggie Theus who is pushing this whole thing, that he's the one that has a personal issue with Ed Reed, that he's the one that's mainly the one that pulled the strings of letting him go. And you've got alumni saying, nah, man, let's bring him back. So don't be surprised, George, if we hear tomorrow or within this week that they're going to bring him back.
Yeah, they might have to bring him back anyway because of the stuff that's on the table. We'll see, though. We'll see. But give us some close out, so then I'll close out the show.
Oh, no. Once again, I'm going to say it again. George is right. If we want to see change in our universities, we have to support them. We can't run to the white man to change that which we should change ourselves. We have to be not afraid to make a proper criticism towards black people who we entrust to put in charge of these schools. And when they put our kids in situations that is dangerous for their health. Excuse me. And we have to be not afraid to call it out for what it is. So at the end of the day, most historical black colleges are in the state that they're in because of being underfunded. But I want to say again, they still have to be responsible with the money that they do have to not mismanage that money when they're already in a pickle with loans and being underfunded. You showed a statement tonight. You showed a article where white colleges are getting $79 million and black colleges were getting $8.8 million.
Yeah, 9.5.
9.5. That tells you everything you need to know right there. The difference in how both institutions, white PWIs and historical black colleges, are being treated. And that lies the problem. And like Eddie George said, or as I'm going to say now, if you just give the schools what they're supposed to get anyway, they could actually thrive and do better.
And they can compete.
And they can compete. But we gotta really hold these administrators accountable for every dime, nickel, and cent that they're spending that does not benefit the school directly. Now, Eddie George made a good point. He says they're busing our kids to another field. Why are we doing that when we can build a practice field here and save money? That's the point. Fiscal responsibility. Thank you, George, man. I love you. Thank you. Great show tonight. Everybody out there that was been here tonight, thank you as well. Take care of yourself, brother.
Yeah, thank you, brother, for coming over.
I appreciate that.
I'll say this in closing. Thank you guys for coming in and hearing what I had to say. This stuff is important. We can't in one breath complain about racism and white supremacy and complain about certain things, but then soon as things don't go our way or it's not to our liking, we run right over to the white man. We got to fix our own stuff. And I'm not arguing with you guys. I see everything that you guys see, but running over there to them for the last 60 years has gotten us nothing. We keep saying, we even say we're in a worse situation today than we was 50 years ago. So, and for the last 50 years, we've been going to their schools and working for them and doing everything for them. So that hasn't worked. We got to figure out how to solve our own problems. That's what it's come to. And if we don't, man, we're gonna keep producing the same thing over and over again. So we see the mold, and I'm glad that these HBCUs are being exposed and things like that. But I'm gonna come back tomorrow. So I'm gonna cut this one short here because we 2.5 hours in. So remember, I love my people more than they hate themselves. And I pray to the universal creator most high that these words was enough to inspire you. These words enough to make you look at yourself in the mirror and make change. These words enough to make you look at your children and know you have to make change. I hope that when you came here for information, and when you leave here greater than what you was before you came. You leave here edified. I hope that you share this information on all the social media mechanisms that we use to get the message across. It's time that we had the conversations, but remember, we got to fix our own problems. We can't go to nobody else. They're going to come and cut you checks. They're going to try to take our best out. We got to stay and fix our own problems, man. That's all I'm saying. People can disagree with me, but at the end of the day, we're going to keep having what we have. All right? So I'm out of here, man. I'm going to bed. It's 11:25 over here East Coast time. But remember, I love y'all. Till the next time. Peace.